Ladies and gentlemen. So much fun. Joining us now, somebody who is a barrel of monkeys, somebody who is a lot of fun, Congressman Stubbe from the state of Florida in the potentially ever-growing Republican majority in the House. Joins us live now. Congressman, I got to get your take on this secret little DNC meeting they had yesterday, which allegedly included your colleagues on the other side of the aisle, as they say, on the floor crying, according to Axios. Apparently, your Democrat colleagues, some of them were in fetal positions, and some were laying on the ground crying. This is according to their reporting, not according to our memes, although I could make a meme of this, and maybe we should. But I just want to get maybe your takeaway commentary on that reporting.
Well, first of all, I love it. It's great to see. I mean, I go to the members gym this morning and on CNN, and this is what CNN is saying. It's going to be a bloodbath in November. Trump's going to destroy the Democrats. Like, Trump's going to win by a landslide. And we're only 4 months out. And it's interesting, like, just hearing other Democrats talk, or you just kind of talk to them and kind of shot them a little bit, like, so what's going on with you guys? And it's interesting, having been up here 6 years, when it's always, the media is always attacking us, trying to divide Republicans. Yes. And for once in the 6 years I've been here, you've got the Democrats divided, because you have Democrats who are like, look, like, Biden has serious issues. We have serious polling problems. And like what your previous clips were showing, like there was a comment from, I think it was Takano, this was public now, that he said that his district went for Biden by 65%, and polling in his district is showing that Trump is winning. In a California district, that Biden won by 65%. So if small districts in California are flipping by like 15 points, that is very problematic for the Democrats, and I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it, because this is not about Joe Biden. Part of it is, but this is about their policies, not just Joe Biden's policies, the Democrats' policies, open borders, Afghanistan, Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, all of the economic woes we've seen, inflation, people going to the store and they can't even afford McDonald's anymore. Now that's a luxury in their family afford. Going out to eat is a luxury because they can't even afford to go and buy eggs and groceries at the store. Families working multiple jobs to be able to pay for things. That's really what the basis of this is. And it's all because of Democratic policies that have created the current economic and national security crises that we're seeing in our country.
Congressman, it must be delicious for you to see the Democrats in disarray. I know that's a meme, but it's actually happening now. It's often that Republicans, because we think freely and act freely, have little subsections and factions on Capitol Hill, and the left loves splintering the Republican base. But now it is chaos on the Democrat side, true crisis.
All of their lies, the Democrats, the White House, mainstream media, have finally caught up to them, where even MSNBC and CNN and ABC have to admit that Joe Biden has cognitive issues. Joe Biden has health issues, that the White House has been covering all this stuff up, and they have to admit it now. And then you're seeing the economic impact of their decisions. You're seeing the national security impact of their decisions. I mean, I had a woman raped in my district by an illegal immigrant. This is not just an invasion at our southern border. Florida is a border state. New York is a border state. I was talking to Nicole Malliotakis out in New York yesterday during a hearing that we had in Ways and Means, and she was saying how they're having challenges up in New York. So you have, and I saw a clip this morning where New York is now a swing state. When in my lifetime has New York been a swing state for Republicans? So and I believe it's not just Joe Biden, it's the Democrats as a whole. It's their policies that have created this. And finally, the American people are seeing it. And finally, the mainstream media doesn't have a choice but to cover the destruction that has been created by Joe Biden's administration.
They hate populism. They hate the rule of the majority. They actually hate democracy, because like the point of democracy is that the majority actually does rule and over time gets what it wants. They've imported 30 million new illegal voters and migrants. They are illegal aliens by law. As you just referred to, things are going catastrophically on that front. The SAVE Act is something that we've been covering all week. You got a little bug in our ear. We read the legislation. This seems like some of the best legislation I've seen come out of the Republican House maybe ever. What's going to happen? Is that up for a vote today? Can you give us an update, please?
It'll vote on that tonight. It'll pass. I'm very curious to see if a single Democrat votes for this. And all this bill does is say that you have to be a citizen of our country to register to vote. Because we've had states in our country like California, New York, and some other municipalities that actually want to give illegals the ability to vote. And what's also very telling is that the White House has sent out a communication to to Democrats that say they oppose this. So think about that. You have the White House, the president of the United States, saying that they think it's a bad idea to say that only citizens of our countries, to put it in law that only citizens of our country can vote in elections, because that has been their ploy this entire time. They don't care about the safety and security of American people. They shipped in 12 million people and then have told them and tried to convince them to vote in any way that they can. Thankfully, there's states like Florida that have a lot of things in place that prevent that from happening, but states like California and New York, they don't. In some of these states, all you need is a driver's license to register to vote. And in some of those states, you don't have to be a citizen of our country to get a driver's license. So you're in a situation where you have illegals, and there's been a report recently that in '08 and in past elections, illegals have actually voted, and it is a factual thing that this is going on. So what this bill also does is take illegals who have illegally registered to vote off the voter rolls.
So again, the Biden statement on this was remarkable. We actually had Chip Roy, who's one of the sponsors of the bill, on when Biden's statement came out, and Biden's statement said, so illegals vote in our elections. It confirms that, but they don't vote like a lot, right? and it's a big no-no to do that. So calm down. Did that persuade the Republican conference?
No. And Mary Miller Meeks won her congressional seat by 6 votes in a general election. So don't lecture us on that these votes don't matter. And that's just what we know. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole host of people that we don't know that are doing this, especially now that there's 12 million new illegals in our country. So it's common sense. And what's interesting is I bet if you polled this in Democratic voters, the majority of Democratic voters don't think that Venezuelans, Russians, and Chinese people that have illegally come through our southern border over the last 3 years of Joe Biden's open border policies should be able to vote in America elections. I would imagine even the majority of Democrats would agree with that. And that's how far left they're going, where they're losing independents, they're losing moderates, and they're losing the suburban women because of issues like this that mainstream America says, no, that's wrong. It's not okay to have Chinese Communist Party individuals, over 50,000 of them, by the way, that have come in under Joe Biden's open border policies, vote in our elections in America.
50,000 communist Chinese could swing virtually any congressional district in the country.
12 million people is more than the population of some of our states. I mean, that's half the population of Florida.
Right, but 50,000 communist Chinese individuals acting at the behest of the Communist Party of China, registering illegally, which all it takes is ticking a box, could absolutely unseat members of Congress. You want to talk 100%. About threats to democracy? I'm saying, Congressman, just the number of communist Chinese nationals that have come into the country could flip congressional seats, any congressional seat.
Well, and I think we lost by 42 when the House flipped. When I first got elected, it flipped Democrat, and I think we lost. If you accumulated all of the seats that we lost and the margin of victory that the Democrats had, it was only 42,000 votes. So yeah, absolutely, and this is exactly why they're doing it. I mean, it's incredible. When I was saying this 3 or 4 years ago, people were like, "Oh no," and now they realize that, oh yeah, this is exactly what their plan has been all along.
So you say that you are on the side of the country, that you are on the side of mainstream America, as you call them, populist America, where actually most people agree on the basics, right? About not sending money abroad to pointless wars and closing our borders. This is what 2 different rallies within 12 hours of each other looked like in your home state yesterday. This is a Jill Biden rally in Tampa versus a Donald Trump rally in Doral, Miami, last night. I see a difference. I know that Joe Biden says that he draws a big crowd, all right? And this was actually a Nurse Ratched crowd. This was a Joe Biden crowd. But I see a difference here, Congressman. I see a slight difference here in your home state.
Yeah, and I was watching some of the interviews of the people that drove. There was one gentleman with a MAGA hat on that drove all the way from Tampa, all the way to Doral to wait for President Trump to speak. I mean, that is an enthusiasm that obviously Joe Biden does not have, to wait, to drive from Tampa to Miami, to wait. They said he waited like 8 or 10 hours. He got there like 8 o'clock in the morning to be one of the first people in line for general seating to be able to listen to Donald Trump speak. I mean, you don't see people doing that for Biden. You don't see 100,000 people in New Jersey showing up in a Democrat state. Oh, by the way, for a Trump rally, you don't see that happening for Joe Biden. And it just shows you where America is. It shows you where we have been. And I think you're going to see, if the election were held today and we sustain this momentum going into November, I think you're going to see one of the most historic gains for Republicans in the history of our country. God will.
So I'm looking at the chat right now, and a lot of they love you, Congressman, but everybody has the same comment. They say, all right, let's say we give Republicans get the House and the Senate again and the presidency. What the hell happened last time? Right? You got some semi-permanent tax cuts, and I'm not blaming Trump for this, but I'm looking at Paul Ryan, right? The guy who promised us a border wall, the guy who promised us all these things, and we got nothing. Can you assure the voters this time around that Republicans will have some balls?
I would love to, because the difference is going to be Donald Trump in the White House after a first term. He knows exactly what he needs to do to get things done. He knows the mistakes he made with certain appointments and things that were going on. He had to deal with Russia, impeachment hoaxes, all of these things that were going on. And he is going to pull the party. Think about the difference in the House. Today, 65% of the members in the Republican conference got elected either when Trump got elected or after. So we now have 65% of the conference that is America first.
65%?
That number changes after this election, because you have people leaving, you have people that have gotten beaten primaries. So you're probably going to have 75, 80% of the Republican conference that are going to be Republican first, America first individuals that are pro-Trump individuals. And if Trump is in the White House, which I absolutely hope and believe that he will be able to drag the conference to his position, because he will be so bold on certain issues, like you brought up the tax cuts. We have to make those permanent in 2025 or they expire, and small businesses tax bills go up by 22%. If there are Republicans that are waffling on that for one reason or the other, he will pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, if you don't want me to primary you in your midterm election, then you have to help me support this so we can help the American people. So he's going to be that push for us, that he's going to bring the whole conference along with him. And it'll be very hard to oppose the sitting president who's sitting in the White House, who has such a strong support base in our party. It'll be very hard to go against what the president wants to get accomplished, because we really only have 2 years to do it. You've got those first 2 years to knock it out, because traditionally we lose seats in the midterm elections. So you got 2 years in Trump's presidency to knock this stuff out of the park.
Yes. Well, we're looking forward to it. We know that you are one of the very few members of Congress who could actually knock someone out of the park, Congressman. And
There's only one of those that's happened.
You represent the great state of Florida very proudly. I'll give you the final word here. Your message to Joe Biden in the last 100 days of this race.
Keep doing what you're doing, because it is great for the election. It is great for the American people. I hope you take Trump up on that golf challenge, because I would love to see that. I would love to see that televised. And let's have a debate every week, like Donald Trump wants. No holds bar, mano a mano. You want to get so bravado about things and challenge them. Let's see that and have a debate every week.
Remember, Congressman, we finally beat Medicare. Remember,
right. Yeah.
We finally beat it. We've been fighting for so long.
My favorite clip was when Trump said, I don't even know what he's saying. I don't even think he knows what he's saying.
Dude, and the moderators didn't even interrupt. They're like, you know what? Actually, that's true. Shockingly, we're on the side of CNN moderators and George Stephanopoulos and Nancy Pelosi, of all people, being like, yeah, Joe Biden is mentally handicapped. The congressman, the great Congressman Stubbe from Florida. Everybody go give him a follow. Make sure that we continue to grow our ranks and strengthen them. Godspeed, Congressman.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.